it's our pleasure to have you join us on platform. I'm Ruth Aguwele. Data protection is the process of safeguarding important information from corruption, compromise, or loss. Now, we cannot overlook the transformational value of data in today's world. This is why data privacy and protection cannot be compromised. In Nigeria, data protection is a constitutional right founded on Section 37 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. In furtherance of international instruments on the fundamental right to privacy and in recognition of the unprecedented positive impact of Nigeria's digital economy and policy strategy on datafication of the nation's economy, the federal government created the Nigeria Data Protection Bureau in February 2022. Now, the Bureau is mandated to oversee the implementation of the Nigeria Data Protection Regulation, which was issued by the National Information Technology Development Agency, that is NITDA, in 2019, as a subsidiary legislation of NITDA Act 2007. The Bureau is also mandated to collaborate with stakeholders in achieving the objectives of the NDPR. Now, that is to foster safe conduct of transactions involving the exchange of personal data, prevent manipulation of personal data, and ensure that Nigerian businesses remain competitive in international trade through these safeguards afforded by a just and equitable legal regulatory framework on data protection, which is in tune with best practice. Now, with due diligence, data privacy and protection should be highly considered, and that's our focus actually on platform today. We want to find out how the nation is fared in that regard and what are the challenges in data privacy and protection. Our guest is Dr. Vincent Olatunji, Commissioner and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigeria Data Protection Bureau. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me here.
This is your first time on platform, and we're glad to have you.
Thank you very much.
All right, before we introduce our panelists, let's take you through a bit of his profile. Dr. Vincent Olatunji holds a doctorate degree in geography and planning from the University of Lagos and an advanced diploma in computer studies. He is a certified public-private partnership specialist and a PECB certified data protection officer. He has worked in the public sector for about 32 years. He joined the National Information Technology Development Agency, that is NITDA, in 2002, where he worked in various departments before becoming Acting Director General, that was in 2016. He was the Director of E-Government Development and Regulations, where he successfully mainstreamed the development and launch of various policies, guidelines, and frameworks. He is a member of many committees, a member of different professional bodies. He was listed among the 100 leading telecom and ICT personalities in Nigeria by the Association of Telecommunication Companies of Nigeria in April 2018, and appointed as Country Chief Data Officer Ambassador by the Massachusetts Institute of Information Management. He has also won several awards from public and private sector organizations. Quite impressive, I must say, talking about your data.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I said your data. It's actually your data, not your profile. Thank you once again for joining us on platform.
Thank you.
You know, because we're discussing data privacy and protection in Nigeria, so everything you'll be hearing today will be about data. Our panelists, our correspondent, one of our correspondents here in NTA, Olajide Bello. Olajide, it's our pleasure to have you on platform. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Dr. Olatunji, if we want to look at data governance ecosystem in Nigeria, especially looking at the population of Nigeria, which has to do with numbers, and you can talk numbers are data actually. How would you paint a picture when it comes to data privacy and protection in Nigeria? What is the situation for Nigeria presently?
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's really important to also that the issue of data governance, data privacy, data protection is not a global thing. The world is bringing to the fore whatever they are doing. More importantly, that the level of digitalization across the globe is increasing on a daily basis, whereby we are moving almost every aspect of our life we are moving almost everything online, and in doing that we are changing our information and data and so on. Starting from the Human Rights Declaration of 1948, the issue of the need to protect privacy was really mentioned there, and even the U.S. Freedom Information Act. Now, coming to Africa, we had the ECOWAS Protocol of 2010, where ECOWAS countries were mandated to have the data privacy law and the data protection and supervision authorities. The level of African Union, 2014, there was the Malabo Convention on cyber security and data protection. Also, the outcome was that all African countries, 54 of us, should have a data protection laws and data supervision authority. And we are glad to say that out of 54 countries, 36 African countries already have their data protection laws in place. 23 have their DPS, data protection authority, and that's why a level of Africa now we have what we refer to as NAPA. That is Network of African Data Protection Authorities, and Nigeria is
part of that.
Yes, we are a member of that group. Now, coming to Nigeria, of course, looking at our population, the most populous country in Africa, we're looking at about over 200 million people, and the total population of Africa is about 1.3 billion. So it's like 1/6. At least out of every 6 Africans you see in Nigeria, and that's why you see us all over the world. And the need for us, and now with the level of digitalization, almost half of this population, at least about 1.4 million, go online to do one thing or the other. In fact, some people now in Nigeria, if you remove digital economy, you need technology from their life, they can't do anything. Especially those who belong to the age group of that we refer to as youth in Nigeria. You remove technology from their life, they can't do anything. Even mothers, fathers, people in the villages, they have their smartphones, they can make calls, they can change information, they can check their account balance on their phones, make calls, check their communication from their banks and so on. So everybody is now in this ecosystem that we refer to as digital economy. Now, the information that we share on a daily basis, that is our names, our telephone numbers, our email addresses, our house addresses, and so all our BVN, bank account numbers, all these are PII, personally identifiable information. There are some that we now refer to as sensitive information. That is your health status, health records, your social, your political lineage, labor union lineage, your biometric information, your sexual orientation, and so on. These are referred to as sensitive information, which will require a higher level of safeguards for any data processor or data controller that will be in charge of your data. And there's every need for data controllers, that is those who determine how your data is being used or processed, and data processors, those who collect data on behalf of data controllers. There is every need for them now to ensure that your data with them is secured, is sealed, and processed within the limit of the laws in the country, because they have that duty of care to ensure that there is adequate protection for our lot. To ensure that we protect our freedom, they protect our privileges, our rights, and our interests.
But that's under your purview. Because the Nigerian Data Protection Regulation now falls under your purview.
Yes.
You are the controller, talking about the bureau.
We are the regulator.
Oh, well.
Yes. Okay. So when you have that kind of scenario anywhere in the world, it is very important that such data is protected. And Nigeria, with the number of people that we have, with the level that we are moving online, there is every reason for us to put in place measures to ensure that our data is secure and is protected. As I mentioned, the foundation is even in our constitution. So whatever we are doing with the regulation, with the law, with the bureau, is like giving effect to a constitutional provision, particularly section 37 of Nigerian Constitution as amended. So whatever we are doing in this ecosystem, like giving effect to the constitutional provision and all those international treaties, conventions, protocols, and so on. So Nigeria has started this journey, and there are various acts of parliament where the issue of protection, privacy, have been mentioned in several ways. But the main turning point was the issuance of the Nigerian Data Protection Regulation in 1999 by NIDA. It was issued as a subsidiary law to NIDA Act of 2007. And we started under NIDA and we're able to come this far.
Okay, Olatunji.
Yeah, Doctor, the successful implementation of MDPR led to the creation of over 8,000 jobs and the registration of 103 data protection compliance organizations, as DPCOs, and a cumulative earning of over 4 billion naira in data protection service in that sector. What's the target for DPCOs in the coming years, and has there been any challenges whatsoever?
Yes, I think one thing that I need to mention is the model that we adopted in enforcing the law. Because it's one thing for you to have the law, it's a completely different thing for you to be able to have a body to give effect to the law. And when the Nigerian Data Protection Law was issued under NIDA, a committee was set up, and I happen to be the chair of the committee, made up of people from different departments to ensure that we put in place a framework for proper implementation of the law. And the model we adopted was the PPP model. I'm a PPP strategist, as already mentioned. So when we started with brainstorming, let's do a PPP. And my partner that were small, were still operating as a committee to really go out for implementation, enforcement, awareness, and so capacity building and so on. That really huge, but I needed to partner with the private sector. That was why we came up with the idea of licensing DPCOs, data protection compliance organizations. And what they do is be able to take organizations through compliance. And at the last count, all we had in our head when we were doing that was for them to go to organizations, take them through compliance. But the last count, now they offer about 17 different services to organizations, and they've been growing. When we started, we experimented we started with 15, we increased to 27, increased to 70, and by the time we were living in NIDA, we increased to 103. So when the bureau started, we evaluated the activities, the audit filing they've done, and so on. We revoked 18 licenses that were not active, and we now licensed additional 68. So as we speak, we have 162 DPCOs. So the figure has really changed, and even in terms of combined earning for the sector, that has also increased to about 5.5 billion. And in terms of job created, it has increased to about 9,500 jobs. So many activities that we are doing around this leading to this. For instance, an average data controller in the country, that is, if you are a company that is processing data of Nigerians, you are supposed to have a DPO, data protection officer. And there are some things you need to do to be certified as a data protection officer, and go through your training, write your exam.
They have to come under the bureau?
Yes,
okay. We
take them through training, then they go for international certification, which they need to do. Now in Nigeria, it will surprise you that we have about 500,000 data processors and controllers. The number of certified DPOs, data protection officers, now in Nigeria, we're not up to 10,000.
So look at the ratio to the demand.
Yes, people are now saying they don't have jobs.
Services.
Whereas you have trained as a DPO, there are jobs. We have over 490 jobs, 490,000 jobs waiting for people to be taken. And that's why we are now, we didn't even think about this when we started. All we wanted was data protection, data privacy. But this just came upon, wow, so we could get this out of it. So we're now focusing on awareness and capacity building to build that pool of globally competitive data protection experts that can work in Nigeria and work in any part of the world, because the certification, if you acquire that, you can work in any part of the world.
But following up to what Olatunji asked, if I want to take this quote correctly from what the Bureau stated, that 103 data protection compliance organizations, cumulative earning of 4 billion naira, filling the queue for
that is now it has increased.
Yes, but within a space of 1 year when the Bureau, was created, there's this demand, for data protection, like you said, but what is the demand like for data protection compliance? If you're saying the ratio to data controllers, it's not up to the demand, why are we having that huge gap?
Because it's an ecosystem that is just emerging in Nigeria.
Okay.
It's evolved globally. It's still emerging globally. It's a new, that's why in the digital economy sector, they keep saying that with the deployment of technologies, AI, robotics, virtual reality, all these ones, that people will lose jobs. And as some people don't leave job, they don't skill, they don't retool, they don't build their capacities. Others will come in, that the sector will create jobs for them. So what we are seeing in the data protection ecosystem, where the high demand for data protection experts, is because things are emerging what we never imagined before in terms of data protection and privacy. Now, let's go that we need skills in this area to be able to ensure that we bring to bear the full effect of the law, to ensure that companies, data controllers, data processors, they put in place measures. We call them technical and organizational measures to ensure that the data of data to with them is adequately protected and safeguarded.
On the issue of enforcement, do you have collaborations with other agencies like maybe like an MCC or the regulator itself?
Even NIMC.
Or NIMC, yeah.
Yes. In fact, a lot of people will question what is the difference between the Bureau and NIMC.
Yes, thank you very much. NIMC is in charge of our national identity in Nigeria, where we're supposed to have a single point of citizens' identity.
That still has to do with data collection.
Yeah, data collection. Now we refer to them as data controllers. They collect data, they keep them, they manage data. In our own case, we are regulating the way such data is protected to ensure that we put in place, as I said, technical measures, organizational measures to ensure that the data we do is protected. NCC is a data controller and a regulator at the same time. But what we regulate is where your personal data with organizations, with hospitals, banks, telcos, the employers, the way they keep your data, because a lot of things happen. For instance, if you can just get to an office, you open somebody's file, you snap some of his personal data, you can use it for anything, for malicious use, for identity theft, for crimes, for even your account to default you, so many things. I'll tell you some examples that we've seen. Today, most of these banks, you have your money there, maybe due to carelessness of some people, generally, or due to the fact that some measures have not been put in place to protect your bank account, your bank details, so that your money just disappears from your account. How? Who made use of your data? Who collected your data? How did they protect it? They put in place any measure to ensure that nobody has unauthorized access to your data. There is any unauthorized access to your data that can lead to a breach. It's a major issue that you need to investigate. Okay. So we are here as the police, like NAFDAC is to drugs, EFC is in the area of cybercrime, ICPC economic crime, and we are working with a lot of these organizations. For instance, we have a working MOU with FCCPC, that's the Federal Consumer Copyright Protection Commission. Now, they have consumers' rights. That you need to be served in this manner, you have not been able to enjoy it. Now, I want is the privacy part of it. How do you protect your data with your data controller? For instance, the digital lending companies, and they've caused a lot of discomfort to some people in Nigeria. You take a long, especially the vulnerable group in society,
because you have to put your information, personal information.
They start sharing your information in default for a few weeks, and they start saying a lot of things. Some people have even died, some committed suicide, some had blood pressure and stuff like that. And we are now working with FCCP, for instance, to ensure that we put some measures in place to control the way they work, the way they operate in Nigeria. And to like I said, we are using good results, because before we can now operate, we are accredited by FCCPC. And before FCCP will accredit, they will send your details to us as a digital lending company that applied for certification with them. We now say, okay, we've gone through their privacy policy, it's okay. Because as a digital controller, we are supposed to put in place some things. One, your privacy policy that must state who you are as an organization, where you are located, your contact details, the kind of businesses you do to come out, the kind of services you offer, the digital subjects, and the measures that are put in place to ensure that any data they share with you is safe and secure. The way you store their data, security measures are put in place. Are you doing cross-border transfer of data? Are you storing your data outside the country? All these are what you need to put in your privacy policy. By the time we go through when they come to us, we are certain if they are okay or not. And in terms of technical measures, what kind of database are you even operating? What kind of security have we put in place? What kind of architecture have we put in to ensure that any data in your database is secured and safe? These are things that we look out for. And as I said, we're working with FCCP. We just signed a MOU with NTA area. That's for the transport sector. The boost capacity of those in the private sector. I know a lot of people travel by public transport. Where you need to share data, how is all data protected? So we signed an MOU with them, which was no.
Okay, but I'm curious. You just painted a picture that could sound scary when I imagine my data controller can be easily compromised. Now, when there's a breach or violation for personal data, where does the complainant go to? Is there like a portal or an application? Where do people go to, and how would you even know that there's been a compromise on your personal information?
Yes, let me start with that one. For you to know there is a compromise on personal information. For instance, there was a lady that had money in one of the banks, which we are currently investigating. I know about 4 million just disappeared from the account. 4 million disappeared from the account. That was allowed. We've taken the matter up with the bank. We are currently investigating. There was a case that we investigated. A guy that his bank gave his details when they were registering for a name, and the guy was captured as a female. Once what you have in your identity is seen as a female, whereas this guy is a male, and it's not Bobrisky. Apologies. Now, with that, he couldn't access his bank details anymore. He couldn't process his driver license. He couldn't process his international passport. He couldn't access most of these services where your gender will be needed, because his data has been breached. That is the impact, which is even beyond money, beyond a lot of things. But why you cannot access yourself because of your data that has been mismanaged by a data controller, which is a major issue. And if such matters happen, we are here at the Nigeria Data Protection Bureau. We report to us. We have a physical office in Metama in Abuja here. Then we are on social media platform. We have a portal, ndp.gov.ng. That's www.ndp.gov.ng. That's our website. There are some pages where you can report any breach, and you can even follow us on our social media platform: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. We are there. Search for Nigeria Data Protection Bureau. Follow us. If there's any issue, report to us through all these platforms. So it makes it easy for Nigerians to report to us in case of breaches. And we take it.
So who is not responsible? The data controller?
The data controller.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really.
Has anyone been convicted so far?
Not convicted, investigated, and punished.
And that's what will lead to.
Between when we started and now, we have investigated. We are currently investigating about 9 major organizations, and 7 of them are banks. We've concluded 2. Well, 6 of them banks. We've concluded 2. We are working on 4 currently. And there was one lending company, one insurance company, one gaming company, and a consulting firm that we are currently investigating. But we concluded 2 banks, and what we told them, if there are very serious issues, there are penalties to be paid. In fact, in the law, what we have is that if there is a major breach, and we can ascertain the level of such breach, it is really high, the damage is high, the impact is high on the part of the data subject, we have to pay 2% of your gross earning for the previous year. Not net, now gross earning. So if the company made like 100 billion last year, and similar breach that we can prove, we are able to pay 2 billion to government. But in Nigeria, when people are growing their businesses, government is talking about use of doing business. Now we tell a company to pay such an amount, can we really pay? So what we really do is we measure the impact of such breaches. We can also, okay, we'll take you through compliance, looking at your appointed DPCO, your DPO, your data processing activities, the way you are sharing data, the way you are managing, all these we look at them and we measure it. And for the banks that we have concluded, all we do was for them to pay remediation fees. They have paid, and after paying the mediation fee, we take them through compliance. These are the things we need to put in. These are the things we need to. I will monitor them for 6 months. We invite them on a regular basis. We review the remediation that we have made, review all the things that we're supposed to put in to ensure that the data of Nigerians with you is protected.
Okay.
So we have started this already.
Still talking about business, one other objective of the bill is to ensure that Nigerian businesses remain competitive in international trade through safeguards afforded by a just and equitable legal regulatory framework on data protection. What's the progress in this report in this regard?
Thank you. I think what we have moved to the level of even having a principal law on data protection in Nigeria now. Yes, we are operating with the regulation issued under NIDA, but the stage we are now is having an act of parliament mainly for data protection in Nigeria.
And it's been passed too.
Today?
Yes.
We are happy to
so it's good news, right?
Yeah, good news.
Okay.
It's been passed. And what we have in the law, part of it has to do with the global convergence of businesses, which has to do with cross-border transfer of data. We have just run through what we have in the law. There are 12 parts to the law. The first one covers objectives and application. That is, why do we even need the data protection law in the country? The most important is to prepare appropriate safeguards for the freedoms, rights, and interests of Nigerians, wherever they store their data to data storage. In terms of applications, what we call territorial scope and material scope. Territorial scope is what jurisdiction can this your law operate, can it cover? Material scope is in terms of activities, what kind of activities will such a law cover? Part 2 of the law is about the Nigerian Data Protection Commission and its governing council. That is, this bureau now will transition into a commission, which we now say we have a Nigeria Data Protection Commission, and this is part of what we have in the law. That is the commission and its governing council. Then part 3 is about the appointment of the national commissioner and other staff of the bureau. What kind of criteria must a national commissioner, for instance, have? It's not a place that we just put anybody. We need a professional, an expert in the field who thoroughly understands the subject matter, for you to be able to say, okay, this is the person that you can put in, not somebody that it's a political appointment. Just put somebody.
You have to summarize the whole.
Okay. Thank you very much. The other part is on lawful basis for the process of personal data. What are the lawful basis? What are the things you need to put in place to ensure that any data with you is protected? The fourth part is financial provision. The fifth part is lawful basis for protection of the data. And the sixth one is what are the rights of data subjects? Your rights, my rights, we are data subjects. The data security is one of them. The other part is a cross-border transfer of data, which speaks to that is businesses, how can they move data out of Nigeria? What kind of measure, what kind of safeguards should country put in place to ensure that, okay, we can say this is accurate, you can actually store our data there, you can move our data there. Then the other part has to do with the issues around enforcement, that is the law itself. How do you enforce the law? Then there's another part on levies and fees. There's another part on legal proceedings, leverage of the court issues, where we take people to court or people take you to court. Then another one is miscellaneous, talking to where we are now, and by the time we transition to commission, how do we now move everything that we're doing to commission? So that is why special section 8 is on cross-border transfer of data. There is what we call adequacy level. That is, what are the safeguards that countries where you want to share data, what are the safeguards they've put in place that in time to ensure that your data is in terms of the kind of law they have for data protection. We do have a data protection authority. Well, if you have law, you don't have a data protection authority, it's not adequate. But the law is just there, nobody protect. Then there are some companies that use instruments like business corporate rules. That is, companies, the kind of corporate rules they have. Some have standard subcontracting clauses and other certification clauses that will guide data cross-border transfer of data. These are things that we need to ensure that we have another country that we are businesses are being moving data to.
Okay, Dr. Olatunji, I have to hold your thoughts there. It's good news that the bill has been passed, and you've given us some of the functionalities contained in the bill, but you're going to tell us the impact, because the common man wants to understand all these things you're listing. How does it impact me? How will my data, be protected and give me that privacy I deserve? Let's take this break. We're back. Stay tuned.
Administration has made
like Lafia transmission station nearing completion.
Africa does not need charity, but partnerships that will promote the adequate investment
With the cooperation of all.
Sharing firsthand the experiences of reporters on the field as they bring to you weekly the beauty of Nigeria's diverse culture and the economic potentials therein. The Correspondence, development through the eye of the grassroots, showing every Monday at 1:30 p.m. on the network service of the NTA, with a repeat broadcast on NTA News 24 and NTA International. Join us.
Allow these children to grow.
Yes.
Many of them, you have somebody 14, 15 going to the university. Where are you going?
Information technology is the future.
Hello, warm welcome to you with this platform. I'm Ruth Aguela.
You don't create that awareness and you don't bring the young minds to identify that there are benefits in astronomy.
We have had experiences through various leadership sector, bringing us to where we can
Platform engages guests on topical issues for national interest.
We have cases like that. We ought to protect children and also make parents realize that they have a proper responsibility.
Join us every Thursday at 2 p.m. on the network service of the NTA. Alright, thanks for staying tuned. We're still discussing data privacy and protection in Nigeria. Dr. Olatunji, before we went on that bit, we were looking at, you were giving us the functionalities of the bill, what it's contained. We want to hear the impact. How does it, how will it benefit now that it's been passed? How will it benefit Nigerians if we're talking data privacy and protection?
Thank you. I think the most important is for us to be able to create trust and confidence.
And effective implementation, because it's one thing to have these policies in place, but implementation is always a challenge.
We've started already, and to create awareness on the part of data subjects to know their rights, because they have some rights under the law. The right to be informed whenever anybody is collecting your data. They need to inform you why they are collecting your data, how they're going to use it. Right of rectification, if there is any issue, you have the right to ensure that your data is corrected. Right of portability, at the time there was issue of portability in Nigeria, you can move your data from one data controller to the other. Right to be forgotten, okay, you don't need my data again, my data should not be shared with you, please erase my data. All these are the rights and data subjects. And more importantly for us, as data subjects as Nigerians, know that if there's any issue with your data, you have somewhere to go to now. And you have a law protecting you, and you can go to a body that is in charge of that law, and the issue will be taken up. Unlike before, when something happened to your data, you wouldn't be able to go to anywhere. You just be at the mercy of the data controller. But now, data controllers, all of them they'll sit up now. They show that any data with them is adequately protected. That's the lesson.
Talking about sensitization, actually getting to the grassroots. What are those agencies you partner with, to project what exactly you're doing there?
Okay, what we did last year was to visit a lot of government entities in Abuja, and we're trying to see how we work with them to ensure that we really drive home the issue of awareness in the area of data protection. We were at NTA here, and that was even form part of the collaboration we're enjoying with NTA now. We are with NOAA, National Regulatory Agency. They have offices in about 7 and 7 local governments in Nigeria, and we are starting at the federal level, then gradually we'll go to the state, and even some states now we are already discussing with them to have the data protection to ensure compliance. There are states that major data controllers, and we are already enjoying that. And we have all the ministries now, departments and parastatals. There's a circular now from Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, that all of them must comply with the law, with the provisions of the law. Now, by the time we achieve this at the federal level, we're not going to state, local level. We are going to have messages, jingles in local languages for people in the villages to understand. Simple, straightforward information to let them know the importance of sharing, keeping, and their rights when they share the data with data controllers and processors.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you if you're going to translate, in different languages, because there are a lot of people. We can't ignore the fact that technology is really going into those grassroots, and people, with the way the world is changing, people today will not be able to do without changes. Okay, now what about security agencies? Do you also do collaboration with security agencies if we're looking at the protection of this data privacy?
Yes, we collaborate with all government organizations. Yes, we can't do it alone. For instance, when it comes to enforcement, I'm not a police officer. I can't go for enforcement. So we have a team from the office of the AG working with us. So we need to investigate, thorough investigation, and if we need to go out for proper enforcement, we have the police team working with us and other organizations that we're trying to partner with to ensure that we have a very strong, solid team that can enforce. Because it's not something that we can do alone. Definitely we need expertise, we need support from different organizations to work with us, and we're already doing that.
And let me take a cue from the SMART acronym you came up with. That is specific, measurable, achievable, reliant, right? And time-bound. That is the SMART. But if you want to tie that smartness, so to say, it has to do with accountability and, reliability. You also have that reliant in your SMART. So how can the Bureau, give Nigerians assurances that yes, and when it comes to accountability, reliability, you are the go-to persons?
Yes. The one thing that is really key in the law and what we are doing is the issue of accountability. That is, data controllers, data processors, the OOS and data subjects, that duty of care to ensure that our data with them is protected. They put in place measures, and that is what we measure when it comes to accountability. And if there's any issue, any major issue, we have to hold the data processor, data controller, and the way the law is even structured now, the head of any organization with the data breach could be prosecuted. Okay. Yes, we see him as the DPO, although if we appoint a DPO, we report to him on daily basis in terms of awareness, in terms of capacity, in terms of the measure they put in place. There are breaches, they need to report to the CEO immediately, so he's responsible for it. And if there's any breach, they need to report to us within 72 hours of such a breach, or else it is also a breach. If there's a breach in the organization, they don't report to us. So the use of accountability is key, and data processors, data controllers are accountable to data subjects, and we are here to oversee, to ensure that that area of accountability is properly taken care of.
Talking about leveraging on the National Digital Economic Policy and Strategy, how has it helped the Bureau in actualizing its mandate?
To a large extent, when you look at Pillar 1 of the NDEPS, that's the National Digital Economic Policy and Strategy, Pillar 1 is developmental regulation. And what we are talking about here, that is the Nigerian Transition Law, is a kind of regulation that leads to development. Development in terms of trust and confidence in what data subjects, data controllers are doing to data. 2, trust and confidence in job creation, which I mentioned. Trust and confidence in wealth creation. Trust and confidence in our reputation internationally. That is country, Nigeria has a data protection law. We think we are good if we share our data with them, if we exchange our data with them. So it's beyond what you can even quantify as one. There are so many sides to it. For instance, the reputation of the country, you can't buy it with money. And if you don't have a law, they see you as a blacklist country. But when you have a law and responsibility authority, that's it's a blacklist country, the issue of adequacy is taken care of. And they can share data with you, you can share data with them. So these are some of the things that we benefit from it.
Okay, and to be able to, secure the rights and fundamental freedoms of every citizen, there is need to have, the right infrastructure in place. Now, which leads us to funding. Is the Bureau having enough funding, to carry out all these activities?
You know one good thing about the Bureau? This is not a government organization that will rely on government funding.
Okay.
It's going to be self-sustaining.
Oh, interesting.
It is a revenue generating organization for government.
Tell us how that works.
We started just a little over 1 year ago, offering skeletal service. We have not even gone fully. We've generated over 200 million naira. How? The DPCOs, they're going to file annual reports.
When you say DPCOs, break it down for Olivia.
Protection Compliance Organizations.
Okay.
On an annual basis, when they take organization through compliance, they submit the annual report to us. When they file in this report, they pay a token. Now, let's say we have 500,000 data controllers and processors in Nigeria, which we have, and we have more than that. Because even in CAC, the last time we checked, we have about 3.1 million registered companies, and about 500,000 of them are major data processors and controllers. Now, at 20% compliance, we're talking of 100,000 data controllers and processors now. Say their filing fee is 50,000, for instance, per annum. That's 5 billion. It's enough to run an organization. And I'm sure you guys have heard about the fines issued by the likes of Google, issued to the likes of Google, British Airways, TikToks, and so on. Running to billions of euros, running to billions of pounds, running to billions of dollars. This money is there. So if there's a major breach, one breach alone will run the below for 5 years.
So you're praying for breaches?
We are not praying for breaches, but if it happens, we have to go all the way to investigate and ensure that they pay the fine.
Okay,
so it's going to generate
not a breach.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to generate money for government. And licensing fees for DPCOs, we license them. The license will be you do every 2 years, and we pay a licensing fee. And looking at the population of Nigeria, we're talking of 36 states plus Abuja. We're talking of 774 local government areas. You can imagine if you have 1 DPO per local government, and they have to renew their license, like their licenses. You know what that will give to government. Well, it's still emerging now. It's still developing. Like I said, we started with 15, 27, 70, 103. We're doing 168 now. You can imagine what will happen in the next 2 years. What the message is really in every home, in every company, in every organization in Nigeria.
I know Olatunji want to go on with a follow-up question. Go ahead.
Yes, generating such huge amounts of funds internally generated, there must be checks and balances, so that the moment they start, goals and fines, there must be some checks and balances.
Yes.
I hope the Bureau is putting that in mind too. Measures.
One good thing about that is that no organization can spend a dime which is meant for government without appropriation. The 200 million that we made, we can't touch a dime. It was paid directly to government.
Because while you regulate data controllers, there is also an agency regulating your spending.
Yeah, that's always there. When you touch government money without appropriation, you are going to jail. So we can't touch the money until we appropriate such money. We want to do A, B, C, D. We take to National Assembly, it is approved. Yes, but okay, give us this part of this money. We have been generating this much. Give us this money. We want to spend for our own operations too.
But going forward, you talked about bans, how the Bureau has been able to, investigate some breaches there. What about gaming companies? Because that one is on the rise. How tasking has it been,
that's very interesting. I work with data a lot. It was about that we have over 60 million Nigerians in that sector, playing that sector every month. Go to the rural communities, go to the really highly dense.
Because people just want to cash out easily.
Want to cash out. Yes. And that can we have out of over 200 million people, we have about 60 million, over 60 million in this sector, and we're looking at it. And that's why we are working with National Lottery Commission.
Okay.
We are coming out with a code of conduct for them. We had a workshop for them with one private sector in Lagos last year, and we're working closely with the commission with the DG and his management and players in the sector to ensure that we actually monitor what they're doing. And there are some DPs already working with them to ensure that, and as I said, they were investigating one of them. So we're working closely with them to ensure that the data supplied to them in that sector is adequately protected.
Chidi?
I was about to ask for maybe if the services extends to the health sector.
Yes, the health sector is very important. As I said, the health record is sensitive information. I will bring word for the National Health Insurance Authority. They're in charge of another insurance, their HMO and so on. So we're working with them. We're even at the level of developing MOU now with NTA and the Nigerian Electric Commission to ensure that whatever they're doing in that sector will oversee to know what is happening. They have their regulators. What we are doing is to ensure that we work with regulators. If we are level of CBN, we go to CBN to discuss with us. So we are collaborating with major regulators in all these sectors to ensure that we can't just come to your sector saying we want to regulate, we can't even regulate your sector. What we are talking about is the data processing aspect of what is happening in your sector. So we've identified these major data controllers. Even the way of shipping, we've moved to that where we want to. A lot of organizations in that sector that we're working with. So if you work with the regulators, it's easier for you to ensure that what you are preaching is taken care of in the entire sector. But you know, you think you want to do it alone, I want to come here and do, there will be resistance from the other regulators. But when we work with, we go to them, this is what this is all about, this is even the benefit, these are the potentials for urbanization. A lot of them will enjoy a lot of very good working with them.
You know, it's good you're painting out a picture of some of the challenges, talking about the bottlenecks that you're likely to encounter, because you've made it look so effortlessly, you know, controlling this data. You know, talking about the data protection and the privacy, you made it look so seamless, Dr. Olatunji, but I know it can be daunting for you.
Yes.
You want to share that briefly before we wrap?
Yes, it is. Yes, some core IT people, for instance, they feel, or some organizations, they think they've put in place measures for security in terms of technology. If there's any issue, I will invite them to, we'll declare this, let's talk about this. We're trying to build this measure, we've secured it. Now bring out the area of privacy. So they're like, wow. So people, a lot of data controllers, they feel they fulfilled the normal thing they're supposed to do. They've done everything, and without proper understanding of the law of privacy, which is clear, and that's what we're talking about. It's a major challenge, and that's why we need to grow the database of experts, the data protection, data privacy part of our economy, to offer services to all these organizations. But a lot of them, after engaging with them, was so the fellow we have is not even an expert in data privacy. Well, some will say a CISO, Chief Information Security Officer of a company, can perform the work of a DPO, Data Protection Officer. There are two different roles.
Okay, before we let you go, your core value stands on transparency, fairness, integrity, and transparency.
Yes.
And your mission is looking at ways of making data privacy a cornerstone in making the digital economy sustainable for Nigeria.
Yes.
What do you hope to see? This is just 1 year and some months.
Yes.
The Bureau has been in existence. What do you want to see, going forward?
We want to see, like we mentioned, that we want to make the data privacy the cornerstone of the digital economy in Nigeria.
Do you think you're on the right path?
On the right path, absolutely, absolutely. Because the foundation to digital economy is digital identity. If you share your digital identity anywhere, we want to get to level that an every Nigerian will you feel very comfortable, you have confidence, you have trust in your data controller and processor. I want to see a position whereby the data controllers and data processors too will see that yes, they actually hold this data to that duty of care and accountability, which is really key. So everybody is on guard. I want to see that there's seamless exchange of data in terms of safeguards, in terms of processing, in terms of what they need to put in place. So everybody is comfortable. And on that basis, we monitor them, we see what they are doing. So digital identity is really key. safeguarding, protecting somebody's identity is really important to us, and that's what we're taking to. That every Nigerian will be aware, we need to do this to ensure that data will be protected. That is the message we are taking to.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vincent Olatunji. We wish you the best, and we hope you continue to be the watchdog for data controllers and ensure that Nigerians get value in terms of accountability and integrity.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Olajide Bello, thank you so much for your contributions on platform.
It's been a pleasure.
All right. Dr. Vincent Olatunji is the Commissioner and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigeria Data Protection Bureau. Of course, we want to see a Nigeria where there is resilient process when it comes to data privacy, and protection. To be the world-class institution, I'm talking about the Bureau now, and we, for us here, will continue to put our eyes on the prize. And Ruth Aguwele, that's platform. Bye.